One thing that George, you brought up that I'd like to talk about in this segment, Sanford, every time you hear a Trump rally, people are chanting, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. That is a conservative talking point. Would the wall do any good, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, certainly I have seen a growing number of folks on the right. Will Hurd, for example, was talking to the BBC this morning, and he basically called that a 4th century solution to a 21st century problem. And I think the answer is not in building this symbolic wall that Mexico is not going to pay for. Let's face it, it is finding technology that helps us keep a better eye on the border and apprehend the bad guys who are trying to cross, and finding a way to facilitate those who actually need asylum to get here and not languish in facilities for 10, 12, 14 months while they're just basically waiting to go through a legal process.
George, what about the wall? Should it be built?
It definitely needs to be built. I mean, that would be a very, very blunt, open deterrent. It would be a symbol, but it would also be a barrier. And that's what we need. I mean, we need not only the wall, we need technology, we need more manpower, we need it all in order to stop, because what we've got right now is an invasion. We've got literally folks coming across in all capacities, in all manners, flying into airports, overstaying their visas, not only just coming across the border. We need the wall because the wall would be a deterrent, and we need technology, and we need more people.
Sanford, I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but if we look ahead 2 weeks, we have the potential of a serious situation developing south of the border. You talk about our relationship with Mexico. If Manuel Lopez Obrador is in fact elected president of Mexico, which looks likely right now, he does not seem like somebody who is ready to cooperate with the United States on border security. And I remember Monica Navarro from Channel 41 saying on this program a month ago that she's afraid that we could have a Venezuela on our southern border. How do we deal with a situation like that?
Well, I mean, a situation like that versus what we have now, I mean, right now we have basically zero cooperation with the Mexican government because our president has basically chosen to try to, beat his chest. So I think the correct answer there is to start basically having talks again and figuring out a way that the countries can work together to deter some of this traffic that frankly is of the illegal variety or the variety where people are basically being taken advantage of by smugglers.
George, is this President Trump's? Is President Trump beating his chest?
He is not beating his chest. The situation, I'm fascinated with his comment that we have to cooperate with Mexico. No. Mexico needs to cooperate with us. Mexico is causing the problem of allowing people to travel through Mexico illegally and then come to our borders. This is no different, in my opinion, than what's happening in Gaza. Where all of a sudden, there's this influx and attempt to overrun a border. This is nothing more than folks who have an inch against a battle against the United States, trying to make the United States look bad, both internally and externally. We must defend our border. We are a sovereign nation, and that's all there is to it.
So how do we deal with President Lopez Obrador?
If President Lopez Obrador, if he's smart, then he will work with us. But if he is going to be somebody like down in Venezuela, they're going to end up like Venezuela. They're going to look at what happened to Venezuela. Look at the basket case that it is. People that want to behave badly, they sow the seeds of bad karma.
Sanford, you've been covering this issue for a long time. What's the thing that people don't understand, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, the family separation issue was sort of an eye-opener in terms of the detention, in terms of the arrests going on the border. But I think an important thing to point out is that that's really just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, since this zero tolerance policy, we've seen more and more people sort of funneled into a situation where detention is used as a deterrent to tell them to stay home, whether illegal or whether they're seeking illegal entry or whether they're an asylum seeker. That basically the detention the family separation is meant to say stay home. And the result of that, there have been a couple studies that have come out recently, one from a group called Human Rights First that talked to numerous people who were into these detention centers in Texas, found there were assaults going on, verbal abuse, sexual assaults in the case of one of these facilities. Many people are caught in this hamster wheel too, where basically they get detained, they need legal help, they need documents, they need advice to basically process their asylum case, and they're not able to get it because they're essentially stuck in there and they're incarcerated and they're not able to gain access to it. For example, in the facility in Pearsall, there are, depending on the day, between 1,700 and 1,900 people there, all of whom are basically trying to get help to go through the process of establishing asylum. There are 4 rooms for them to meet with attorneys there. 4 rooms. There is no cell phone access unless you have T-Mobile, and there are no phones in the rooms. And the problem there is that these folks aren't just from Mexico, they aren't just from Central America, they're folks from Africa, there are Sudanese people there are people from Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and many of them speak languages where they need translation. Okay, and if you don't have a phone, it's awfully difficult for the attorney to get a translator in to talk to these folks and help them process their cases. So basically, if you don't have access to legal help, you're going to languish there.
George, you're dying to react to Sanford.
I just can't believe it. I can't believe what I'm hearing because, I mean, you know, these people are victims. They're victims because they came in illegally into the United States. If you don't want to be a victim, if you don't want to be in a detention center, if you don't want to be carted in by a cartel or pay $8,000, don't come illegally to the United States.
I don't think you can put that. I don't think you can put them all in that basket and say all these people.
They're illegal.
A lot of these people basically came to the border and talked to the folks at the border and said, "I am seeking asylum."
And they can't prove it. So what are you going to do with them? Where do you put them?
They can prove it. Many of them are granted asylum because they go through the process.
Now, apparently not that many are granted asylum because they're being put into detention centers.
As I've said, they're put into the detention centers because they continue to put more and more of them in there, and the backlog of cases is growing.
It's on purpose then because we want to put them in detention centers.
Well, obviously the number of people who are being detained there has grown. Our president has said he is not going to hire more immigration judges.
Calm down about Mr. Trump, okay? Because Obama did it too.
Obama did. He certainly didn't separate children from their parents.
He did. It was just not covered by you guys.
No. It was not a policy. You can check this up. You can check on the facts.
No, it was there.
It's not to say that there was it's not to say that nobody was detained under the Obama administration. They had, I think, an embarrassing record of detainments as well, but there was not a policy of separating families. That was something that was started by the Trump administration.
Obviously, this is going to continue to be a controversial issue from time to come. Sanford Nowlin, the current, George Rodriguez, El Conservador, thank you very much for joining us on The Conversation.
Thank you.